¿Qué pasa, YouTube? 6fthax here. Have for you guys today a really good and really close battle that I had off of my Discord against William. Of course, if you guys do enjoy the video, make sure to hammer arm that like button down below to answer the question of the day. Shouts out to the homie top tier boy for that one. Now, going into this battle, I'm kind of using a very old, outdated team, so I'm not sure if I'll leave the pastement of it down in the description, just because this team is like 2 or 3 months old and it's probably not as good as it probably was, but it's still a really fun team that I just never got to use, that I really wanted to use. So going into this battle, the biggest threats I saw on William's team were going to be the Greninja easily, just because I have literally no switching, and then Landorus could be a problem if it's double dance with Z moves, and then Infernape could maybe be an issue depending on the set. Speaking of Ape, he leads with that as I lead with my Greninja. We both end up switching out, and because I switched out before him, I now know that he is not Scarfed, which is why I did switch out, fearing that he could be Scarfed, because I have no idea what Infernape does in OU. So he switches into Tapu Fini as I switched into my Landorus. Obviously, I don't want to stay in here and possibly take a Surf or even Ice Beam, so I make the safe switch into my Heatran. I did expect him to want to go for Nature's Madness or Moonblast most likely, and he actually ended up going for the taunt. I do unfortunately miss the Magma Storm, and that Magma Storm miss is actually kind of huge because I would have been able to probably just get rid of this Tapu Fini right here, not even 10 turns into the battle, and because I missed, I'm gonna have to go for it again. I was very close to going for the Bloom Doom there. Luckily, I didn't pull the trigger, and I'm still able to get off a huge amount of damage on the incoming Infernape. I actually do manage to wear it down below 50%, which is really nice. Do not want to stay in here though and take a close combat, because he will definitely knock me out, and there is a chance he may go for the Earthquake, so I decided just to switch directly into my Landorus. This is also a little bit risky just because he could be mixed with Hidden Power Ice, which I would assume that Infernape would want Hidden Power Ice to hit Landorus, but I'm gonna make the kind of risky play and just stay in here, as he's gonna take the Rocky Helmet damage, and I'm expecting him to either want to switch out or possibly stay in. He could maybe be Choice Banded now that I think about it, because I don't think he ever ended up switching up moves throughout this battle, and he's not Scarfed. So I'm able to U-turn on out of here because I did predict him to want to switch out. I thought he would bring in the Tapu Fini, but him bringing in his own Landorus honestly isn't a bad play either if I did want to go for the Earthquake. And then there's a chance that he's running a lot of speed EVs, so he could outspeed me and hit me with Hidden Power Ice before I can hit him. So U-turning there, I definitely think was the better play for me to make, as I'm able to force him out. I can safely go for a U-turn this turn, because with him still having Tapu Fini, this is literally his perfect answer to my Greninja, so he's got zero reason to switch it in, especially because I'm not Protean with Gunk Shot, which really sucks, because if I was, I would have been able to just nuke this Tapu Fini and potentially 2-hit KO it, but this thing should be gone. Luckily though, because Tapu Fini is his switch into my Heatran, he has nothing that switches into a Magma Storm, so he's actually going to leave in his Fini, not knowing that I have the Bloom Doom lying in the weights, as he's going to go for the Nature's Madness, able to do of course 50% of whatever HP I just had. And now this following turn, because he is trapped and he is forced to stay in thanks to Magma Storm, I'm gonna do what I should have done very early on in this battle and get rid of this Tapu Fini. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I did not expect Bloom Doom to just straight knock out Tapu Fini after a bit of this prior damage and at how much HP that it is at. Thankfully though, by getting rid of the Tapu Fini, this means that my Specs Greninja has now become a huge problem for him to deal with. Unfortunately, even though yes, I have got rid of this Tapu Fini, he now gets a free switch into his Specs Ash Greninja, which, like I said, I have literally nothing that can switch into this. I could have maybe switched into Superior and tried to save Heatran, but because I was already at that low amount of HP, I wasn't going to be switching in too many times if he was able to get up Stealth Rock. So I decided just foddering off Heatran there was probably the better play for me to make. This way I keep Superior, and there's still a chance Superior can actually put in a lot of work, especially if I'm able to get it behind a substitute. So I'm going to bring in my Tapu Lele here. I am Scarf Lele luckily, which is really the only thing that I have to just kind of check this Greninja, and I have to force it out every time basically. Unfortunately, I missed the Focus Blast on the incoming Tangrowth, And at the time, I didn't think that that extra like 20% amount of damage was going to be entirely too crucial, but it does end up becoming very important later in this battle. So he would have taken the Focus Blast damage, this Rocky Helmet damage, and this U-turn damage, which means he most likely would have been below 50% HP. And I know it's a little bit odd to have switched into my Landers there on a knockoff and lose my Rocky Helmet, but it was a play that I had to make because I am not in a really good spot in this matchup. Like, he can definitely just wreck me alone with Specs Ash Greninja, and because I've lost my Heatran, this Tangrowth is going to be a giant pain to deal with. So I did think about going for the Hidden Power Fire here. That way I could have 2-hit KO'd the incoming Scizor, but I thought that after going for Leaf Storm, I would have been able to 2-hit KO him anyways, because depending on his EV spread, Hidden Power Fire after Rocks and switching into a Leaf Storm does have a potential chance to knock out Mega Scizor. That is, of course, if he's not running a lot of Spadef EVs and a lot of HP EVs. So I go for the +2 Hidden Power Fire. I thought about going for the substitute. Unfortunately, he lives, and he told me he lived on 4 HP, and he's able to get off a huge hit on my superior, not knocking me out, but it does put me in range of where I could potentially be revenge killed. As he ends up bringing in his Infernape, the fact that he brought in Infernape here should have automatically told me that he had the Mach Punch, so I should have switched into my Landers here. There was no reason for him to not have gone for the Mach Punch, and if he had gone for the U-turn there, then unless he was Scarf, which we know he's not Scarf, I would have knocked him out. So it would have been nice to maybe save Superior to still have potentially got off a little bit of damage on the Tangrowth, or even just save the Talite Seed something. But the good thing is that I've got off a huge hit on that Mega Scizor, which his Mega Scizor was the only real thing stopping my Mega Metagross. So now Mega Metagross, anytime that it comes in, could potentially just always pick up a KO, which is really nice. So I get on my Rocks as he brings in his Landers. Very positive that he's not going to go for the U-turn or go for the Earthquake. I make the hard switch into my Greninja as he gets up his own Stealth Rocks, and now I'm going to go for the U-turn if I'm not mistaken, or do I Dark Pulse here? I think I end up Dark Pulsing just to be on the aggressive side, especially if he did want to switch into his Tangrowth. So this Dark Pulse does do a solid amount of damage to this Greninja, and I can definitely take any one hit that his Greninja wants to go for. So I can stay in here and potentially go for another Specs Dark Pulse, which is what I do as I'm able to catch the incoming Tangrowth. This thing should be below 50%, but it is not because I did miss Focus Blast, and again, it is Focus Blast, so I shouldn't be too upset. Either way though, I'm still able to get off a decent bit of damage on the Tangrowth, expecting him to want to go for the Giga Drain. I make the hard switch into my Mega Metagross, and this puts me in a pretty good scenario because I can just go for the Meteor Mash, the Zen Headbutt, or the Ice Punch if I really wanted to. And ultimately, I end up going for the Ice Punch as he's going to make a nice play here and just sack off his Scizor, knowing that it's not going to be doing anything else in this matchup thanks to Stealth Rocks. He does now know that I have the Ice Punch, which kind of sucks because I was hoping to maybe catch the Tangrowth off guard with that. But either way though, it's fine because I'm still going to be doing a pretty good amount of damage to it. As in comes his Greninja, I cannot outspeed this, and there is no chance that I'm going to be leaving in my Mega Metagross against a Greninja. So I'm going to be forced to sack off my Landers here, which really sucks because I was hoping to get some more use out of Landers. Either way though, getting up Rocks was more than enough, which is going to be really nice because I can get off that nice chip damage on his team as he cleanly knocks me out with the Dark Pulse. I'm going to bring in my own Greninja, and I'm going to risk him potentially flinching me so I can finally get rid of his Ash Greninja. So I stay in here and I go for the U-turn, hoping that he would just go for the Dark Pulse, but he ends up switching into his Infernape, and if I had gone for the Dark Pulse, I might have been able to knock him out at this amount of HP, and then that way I could have turned into Battle Bond Greninja, and then that way it may have come down to a speed tie, or at least it would have boosted the power of my Water Shurikens and my Dark Pulses, so I could have done more damage to Tangrowth on the potential switch-in. So I U-turn into my Tapu Lele as I can just go for the Moonblast here. I really lose absolutely nothing in doing so, and there is no chance that I can afford to go for the Psychic because that literally just invites him to bring in Ash Greninja, and because my Lele is the only thing I have to outspeed and beat his Ash Greninja, then locking myself into Psychic would actually be a death sentence for me. Like, I just lose, basically. So I Moonblast as I switch directly into my Mega Gross here. I did expect him to want to go for the knockoff, but there was a slight chance that maybe he wanted to go for the Giga Drain, but no, knockoffing there was definitely his best play to do, as I will be able to just safely go for the Ice Punch one more time, and I'm going to be able to knock out the incoming Infernape here, which I should have knocked out earlier with the Dark Pulse, but I ended up going for the U-turn. So he's going to get a free switch back into this damn Ash Greninja, and much like earlier, I have to sack something off to this, and unfortunately, I have much more use for my Mega Metagross than I do for my Greninja, because my Greninja hasn't evolved, and I can't do anything with my Greninja to his Tangrowth. So I'm just going to fodder it off here, as he's going to be able to just nuke me with the Hydro Pump. This does give me a free switch back into my Tapu Lele, and I am still down 2-3, but there is a chance that I could still win this battle. So all hope is not lost yet. It's just that Landorus could prove to be a bit of a problem, and if I'm able to get rid of Greninja, I win. So I'm just gonna go for the safe Moonblast here, as he actually ends up switching directly in to his Landorus here. I'm guessing he didn't want to switch into Tangrowth to take the unnecessary damage, because then I might have been able to 2-hit KO him with the Moonblast, or he maybe thought I would want to go for the Focus Blast again as a middle ground play to catch the Tangrowth on the potential switch-in. Either way though, I'm able to 2-hit KO this Landorus, and that is really good, because now I don't have to worry about Rocky Helmet damage for my Mega Metagross. So in comes the Tangrowth. Obviously, there is no way I can afford to lose my Choice Scarf, or I just lose this battle. So I have to switch back into a knockoff and just hope that he does not crit me, because there's no way that he should be able to knock me out unless he does crit me. So I eat up the knockoff, and I'm going to catch him completely off guard here and go for the Zen Headbutt in Psychic Terrain, doing a huge amount of damage to the Tangrowth, enough to the point where even if he switches out and tries to come back in, he's not going to be living a Moonblast coming from my Tapu Lele. So the fact that I didn't reveal to him that I had Zen Headbutt earlier in the match, and I was able to put Tangrowth in this scenario where it was in Psychic Terrain against my Mega Metagross, I was able to pressure the Tangrowth enough, knock it out, and now it all comes down to whether or not I can live Specs Water Shuriken, because he can easily win this if he gets high enough damage rolls. So he goes for the Specs Water Shuriken. That's one. That does too much damage. That's two. And he goes for a third, and I live on 7 HP, and I'm going to be able to knock him out with the Moonblast for the extremely narrow 1-0 victory. I originally thought I lived on 4, but hey, lucky number 7 pulling through there, and Tapu Lele just being an absolute monster near the end. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this intense and close battle. If you did, make sure to hammer arm that like button down below. And to answer the question of the day, thank you guys for watching. With all that being said, I will see y'all tomorrow. Check out yesterday's battle and the battle before that, because I've uploaded a lot of Wi-Fi the past couple days. So thank you guys for showing off your support on those battles, and just some showdown stuff should be going up on this weekend, so be on the lookout for that for those of you who do enjoy that stuff. Anyways, I'm rambling. Check out the 2 videos on the end screen. Later, everybody. Later, everybody.
Cause my brain and heart are both tied in the knot, and this hinders me from crying a lot. This causing me to show no emotion, but when I said I cared, I wasn't joking. But I guess it's too late for me to become broken. For now, I'm living with no more pain, tears of hoping. I'm just coasting. Yeah, I said I'm coasting. No more pain, tears, and hoping. For real.